Hey guys, Buckner Gaming back today bringing you a video, and today for our weapon conversion series we are going to be turning the ISO Hemlock, which in real life is the Brugger & Thurmet APC 556. We'll be converting this into replicating as closely as we can the Bushmaster or the Remington ACR, the adaptive combat rifle from the OG Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. I have a couple builds here, especially for some of the gameplay. I'll be showing a little bit different than we typically do with just the bot gameplay. I'll show a little bit of that in some private matches, but also utilizing this heavily in DMZ lately as well. Some different variants of this, which I think work out very well. So stay tuned. We're also going to be going through the giveaway winners here later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. Once we jump into, after we finish the conversion, jump into some of the gameplay later on, I'll be announcing the giveaway winners from the two giveaways that we had last week. So let's go ahead now and we will back out and convert this ISO Hemlock or the APC 556. Try and replicate as much as we can the ACR or the Adaptive Combat Rifle. So backing out, here's one of our final designs. I have a couple different builds here that we'll go over. So first off, let's go ahead and we will select the base ISO Hemlock. So just to be clear, the ISO Hemlock is not an ACR. It's not a Bren 2 or an 805. It is in fact a B&T APC 556, which we did a couple conversions on that the other week on the channel here. So the APC 556 by B&T, the Advanced Police Carrier, or excuse me, Advanced Police Carbine, chambered 556, and also APC 300, which we did a conversion to because it is convertible with the 300 blackout rounds here as well. But we're going to try and replicate it as much as we can to make it look like an ACR, even though at its base it is not an ACR. So how are we going to do that? First off, the stock option here. This is going to give us the Mace 600. This is going to replicate pretty much almost one for one the Magpul stock, which is famous for the ACR. You see this offered still today on different weapons. They make it adaptable for the SCAR, other weapons as well, but it's most famously known for the butt stock that was released from Magpul for the ACR. Now, this is going to give us the aiming stability, recoil control. You can see the cons there, but obviously this is the pretty much one for one the ACR buttstock offered by Magpul. So we'll go ahead and select that. Now for the optic here, I'm going to just, you can select any optic here, any red dot, something like a the Lone Wolf or the EOTech would be great. I'm going to go ahead and just throw on a flip sight on this. The EOTech with the hybrid flip sight on there gives it a nice look. We'll go ahead and just kind of adjust that. And now for the barrel option, we can leave this one at base for the barrel option, which we'll do for this one. And I'll show some other builds also. For the underbarrel attachment, anything is really personal preference here. We're going to go with the Commando foregrip for the aiming stability and the recoil stabilization. We'll go ahead and select that and just tune up that stabilization. And then for the rear grip option here, we'll go ahead and do just the Seiken ZX grip for additional recoil control. And you'll see the reason I'm doing this here. You can save out on that attachment for other designs if you want. But that'll give us that. And then we'll go ahead and throw on the laser. So you can run really whatever you want here. The OLEV is great for DMZ or multiplayer or Warzone. However, for aesthetic purposes, I prefer the look of the SZ 1 milliwatt PEC. Closely resembles a real life PEC 15, especially with all the buttons and everything like that on top versus the OLEV. So we'll go ahead and select the 1 milliwatt PEC for aiming stability. And you can see we do have different blueprint options here as well. So whichever one you like, go ahead and go with that. This is our final design here for the ACR. However, let's go ahead now and make it more true to life and put on that well-known ACR camouflage that we saw in the original Modern Warfare 2. So here, we'll go ahead and put on the clay. And now we have one of our final versions of the Remington or the Bushmaster ACR. So you can see here, the final design looks pretty close to the ACR. Obviously, the APC is a newer carbine. A lot of the modular weapon systems we see today that look similar to this were modeled after the ACR. Some key differences here, and then we'll get into some of the other builds. So obviously here, this is not an ACR like I mentioned. This is an APC 556, but you can see there above the mag well, you have the bolt release and the magazine release. So that magazine release that you're seeing there, that square button, which is ambidextrous on both sides, as it would have been with the ACR. So that's solid square one right behind the mag well. That is the magazine release. The one above it, that little push button that goes up, that's going to be the bolt release. Now, on the ACR, for the Bushmaster ACR, the bolt release would be lower inside the trigger guard, but behind the mag well. So kind of like where you see the trigger there, straight over to the back of the mag well is where the bolt release would be. And again, that would also be ambidextrous, left and right hand side. So you'd have that. You'd also have kind of similar fire controls, again, being completely ambidextrous, left and right hand side. Not too far off from what we would see on the ACR. The only difference here really is the bolt release, honestly, is, like I said, it would be on the back of the mag well within the trigger guard is where the bolt release would be. That way, as an operator, you wouldn't need to be fidgeting with an AR-15 type system. You would be right there. You don't need to take your finger off the trigger, essentially, or away from the trigger. Now, some other key differences here. The charging handle is closely resembling more so the later Remington ones. We have the dual ambidextrous charging handle. The Bushmaster ACR and even the early Remington ones, you would just switch this left or right, and it was not a folding charging handle. Here, it obviously is folding and completely ambidextrous already. It's very similar to what we see kind of like with the G36, but again, this was a later addition with the Remington versions of the ACR when they went through and kind of upgraded it more so for the carbine competitions to replace the M4, M16 family of rifles. So that's a key difference there. Obviously, the handguard is not one for one for the Bushmaster or the Remington, but it's kind of close enough, and I'll show you some of the designs here as well. The ejection ports are relatively similar there as well, completely ambidextrous. You can switch which side you want it to eject from. The only difference for the barrel, or the handguard, we don't have QD mounting points here. It's mainly the M-lock, and we have the pick rails on there also. So other than that, that's essentially our ACR. And again, I picked the grip there just so we retain the camouflage. Some other designs here really quickly just to show off. First off, with the barrel length, we would really want a 14.5 to a 16-inch barrel for this. This is going to be compared to the Scar Light with the 12-inch barrel. You can see they're relatively the same length. So I think it's probably going to be the base barrel option that we're using here on the ISO is going to be around a 12.5, slightly longer than what we see on the Scar Light with the 12. Other than that, they're pretty much the same size. So you can see the key differences there, obviously. That's one version of the ACR we looked at. Here's another one. This is more closely resembling kind of what we saw, or this is kind of more of my DMZ build, and you'll see. Go ahead and look at some of the other ones here. This is a more of a PDW version of it. So very closely resembling more of a PDW build. You have the top-mounted PEC 15 with that shorter barrel. Do a tannized look here. Again, very similar, obviously, to the APC PDW that we did the other day. However, we're utilizing that Magpul ACR stock option on there and trying to make it look a lot like some of the PDW CQC type ACR builds we see. Mainly, I would say I'm trying to replicate here one of Grand Thumb's builds that he did also. Looks really good. That's one build. Another one here to kind of make it more closely resembling the build that we saw within the Modern Warfare 3 campaign. Modern Warfare 3 used the Remington ACR, excuse me, and you had a different barrel option, kind of like what we see here. So we put the LR 3056 on here, or you could run the T50, but the 3056 more closely resembles some of the later Remington handguards, mainly what we saw in Modern Warfare 3, which was a Remington shapered in 6.8 SPC versus 5.56. So that's one option. This is kind of very similar, like I said, to what we saw in the Modern Warfare 3 campaign right here. We're putting on different camouflage. We're running the, go ahead and take a look here. Solid camos, we're running the olive, which we unlock from the Fight Light. And that's kind of our Modern Warfare 3 build to replicate what's seen in the campaign there. So that's that. So we have really a couple different builds here. Like I said, this is the Modern Warfare 3 build that we just showed off. We have kind of the close quarters CQC PDW type build with the shorter barrel, around 12.5 inches is what it would be in real life. It's a little shorter here in game. Here's my DMZ build, very similar to what we saw for the Modern Warfare 3 build. That's a Scar Light for comparison in barrel length. And this is the Remington Bushmaster ACR here as well. So, jumping really quick into the firing range so you guys can just kind of check out really quick how this looks, this particular one. Then you'll see some of the gameplay. I'll let that run in the back as we're talking after we do the giveaways. So here it is, the Bushmaster Remington ACR, the Adaptive Combat Rifle. And go ahead now, just take a look at the firing. Very accurate, again, even with that base barrel. The flip sight looks really good. Definitely reminds you of the ACR that we saw in Modern Warfare 2 specifically. Really nice weapon. Really like it. And there's a lot of aftermarket handguards outside of the typical Bushmaster one that was mainly had QD mounting points on here. So this is definitely a passable, I would say, passable imitation of the ACR here in the game. The recoil control, pretty standard. It's going to go up and to the right. Not a lot of recoil. Slower rate of fire here, 600 rounds per minute, so it's easier to control. And again, very easy to hit targets at a variety of different ranges because of that rate of fire. So that's the Remington Bushmaster ACR. Go ahead now, and we'll just jump into some more gameplay here as we show off some stats about the weapon, real life stories about the weapon. But first, I want to announce the giveaway winners. So we had the giveaway last week in the video for the B&T APC 556. So there was a giveaway. To do that, all you need to do is comment on the APC 556 PW video what your platform was, what you did or didn't like about Season 2. And I'll be choosing one winner here today. And then the other one was the first person to comment on the KL12 video to identify my secondary in that video would be a winner as well. So first off, there was two winners for the second one option there. That KL12 video, my secondary was indeed the ACR, so that was kind of hinting towards this video here. So I wanted to kind of tease that one. You guys picked it out right away. There was a lot of people that came in very close and picked it, but just a little. These two here, I had to pick two winners because they commented on each of the videos and they were so close together. So the first winner is Riker Bot 3394. I'll be reaching out to you. I think we've already spoken. And the second winner for that ACR pick was the Noodly Boy 6711. So I've been in contact with both of them. Now the other winner here for the second part of the giveaway, or I guess I should say the first part of the giveaway, to comment on the APC 556 video with your platform, that winner is going to be Medic 75156 over on Xbox, I believe is your platform. So Medic, why don't you go ahead and reach out to me. I will comment under your comment on the 556 video, and you can go ahead and reach out to me on any of my social media links, things like that, down below in the description of these videos, and we'll go ahead and get that done. Now, jumping into the ACR. So, like I've said, I don't want to make this seem like this is an ACR, because it really is the APC 556, but we're as closely resembling or mimicking the ACR as we can. So the ACR, the Adaptive Combat Rifle, was initially the Magpul Masada, developed by Magpul. They had the concepts up. Eventually, Bushmaster was licensed to produce it, so Bushmaster and Remington ended up producing that for a long time. Now, because Remington went under, Bushmaster went under, there's no more ACR as of 2020. However, there's some hope, which we'll discuss here in the future, which means the ACR is definitely, I believe, coming back, or at least they're saying it's coming back. And I don't believe we're going to get it here in Modern Warfare 2, the real ACR, but I could be wrong. So we could be remaking this video down the road if we do get an actual ACR. But the Adaptive Combat Rifle is a modular assault rifle designed by Magpul Industries, known as the Magpul Masada. In late January 2008, Bushmaster Firearms entered a license agreement with Magpul and was able to produce the licensed version of the ACR. And when they did that, they changed the name from the Magpul Masada to the Bushmaster ACR Adaptive Combat Rifle. Remington Arms is contracted to manufacture the rifle for the U.S. military and U.S. law enforcement agencies, in which it was known as the Remington ACR. So you had the Bushmaster ACR, which was a select fire version of the weapon for civilian market, and then you had the Remington ACR, which was military and police licensed. So gets kind of crazy there. The Remington ACR versions kind of went down the drain. They made some really good changes after the Magpul Masada and the Bushmaster versions, but they also kind of killed the weapon and did a lot of things very slowly and didn't really come through with a lot of the barrel changes for the caliber conversions to the very end of this thing's life cycle when it was too late. So this thing was entered in, at the time of the original Modern Warfare 2, was supposed to be the favorite to replace the M4 family of weapons. It was entered into the, I believe it was the invitation-only carbine competition in 2007 or 2009, in which it was supposed to be the favorite to pick over the M4 and the M16, which at the time were having a lot of trouble. This thing came along. That competition ended up getting canceled. You had the Salt Mod program, CQBR, everything like that going on in parallel, and that got canceled. There was some recalls, some issues with this weapon, some slow developmental changes, and it just never ended up getting picked up. So it should have been the standard military weapon going forward to replace the M4, but it just never came to fruition. So the type of weapon here is obviously assault rifle, semi-automatic rifle out of Bushmaster AR, or the assault rifle from Remington. Place of origin is the United States, as the Magpul Masada out of Texas. Now, it has been used in the war in Afghanistan, Russian invasion of Ukraine. You do have Ukrainian troops that are actually armed with this as well, so you'll see a lot of things like ACRs. We've seen a couple Brens, SCARs out there, but the Ukrainian Defense Forces does have some ACRs that they bought back in the day. So, designer Magpul Industries, again, the Magpul Masada was designed in 2006. Manufacturer Remington Arms, Bushmaster for civilian, Remington for military and law enforcement. Production took place from 2010 through 2020. Plenty of different variants for this weapon, is going from PDWs all the way up to DMRs. The length of the weapon with the stock deployed, this basic Magpul stock that we see here, is going to be around 32.5 inches. The barrel length for the weapon varies anywhere from 8.25, 10.5, 14.5, 16.5, or 18.5. So here in game, the base one here that we're looking at is going to be around 12. So again, the barrel lengths are never spot on for any of these weapons, but we can make anything from pretty much the 8.5 all the way up to the 18.5 version of this weapon based on the stock or the barrel options that we do have here. Now, in real life, the ACR, the Adaptive Combat Rifle, took many different calibers, and that was the whole thing with this weapon and why it was an adaptive combat rifle. Is the quick change barrel and the caliber swap system. So this thing was supposed to be able to take not only just 5.6 by 45, it was also through Masada, the Magpul Industries Masada, was supposed to be able to take the 7.62 by 39, which is that Russian AK M round. Also was supposed to be able to switch to the 6.8 SPC, which is a Remington SPC. You're also supposed to see for the Bushmaster ACR, the 450 Bushmaster, 300 Blackout. So there was a variety of different calibers that this thing was supposed to be able to quick swap to from barrels, magazine, and the firing pin, but just quick swapping those out. A user could do that on the fly if you have what you need for that. That stuff didn't really end up coming till very end of the life cycle of the ACR. Like I said, a lot of third-party industries stepped in and kind of filled that and allowed conversion kits for that. However, Remington did come through at the very end and came out with what was promised from the very early on from the Magpul Masada prototypes. The action is the gas piston rotating bolt. Rate of fire in real life is going to be around 650 to 700 rounds per minute. Muzzle velocity, if we're looking at the 5.56, is going to be around 2,600 through 3,050 feet per second. 450 Bushmaster be around 1,600 through 2,100 feet per second. Effective firing range is going to be 500 meters to 600 meters. The feed system is a 30-round Stenag mag, M16 compatible. So Magpul PMags, anything like that that would fit in an M4, M16. Magpul PMags, all of those would fit in this 30-round, 10, 20, 40, 45, 50, all of that can fit in this thing. And then the sights of the Magpul M-Bus and integrated Picatinny rail to provide the optics that we have put on here with this weapon. So a really great weapon. Too bad it never came to fruition, was not adopted by the U.S. military during the invitation-only carbine competition to replace the M4. And like I said, I believe that was 20, somewhere between 2010 or 11, I want to say it was. Probably 2011. Never came to fruition. Wasn't adopted. They ended up keeping the M4 M16s, and now apparently they were just replaced through the NGSW program for the Sig Sauer MCX Spear, which crazy to see that, especially because the Remington and Bushmaster ACR were compatible with the 6.8 SPC, which is a slightly smaller caliber at 6.8 by 39 versus what we're seeing with the NGSW is a 6.8 by 51. So definitely a bigger round, but still the quick change barrels and swapping out the cartridge or the caliber changes for the ACR was a big thing. Now, one of the big things with this is that it was really one of the first modular assault rifles like we're seeing here. Basically, what happened here is Magpul took the best of the state-of-the-art rifles at the time, G36, XM8, M4, M16, a bunch of different weapons at the time. Some things from the SCAR, the Robinson Armament ACR, which competed directly with the SCAR in the SCAR competition. They took all the best things out of this, even some of the HK weapons from the G3 and the MP5. They took everything that was the best from those different platforms and tried to combine it into one. They did a really, really great job. This is really, I believe, one of the first modular type weapons out right there with the SCAR and the Robinson Armament ACR. So this is a great weapon. And now the sad part about this is that it was canceled. Remington went under, therefore Bushmaster went under. As of 2020, this weapon is no longer produced. However, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Franklin Armory did purchase up parts of Remington, and parts of that they did purchase were the parts that have the Bushmaster ACR licensing. So now Franklin Armory is licensed. They have all the licensing and the rights to produce the ACR. They have said that they're going to bring back the ACR here in 2023, 2022, 2023. Obviously, we're into 2023 now. So this year, supposedly, they're going to be unveiling the new ACR, the Bushmaster ACR, because they do have those rights. They're going to make some changes and put this thing back out on the market. So I wonder, from a civilian market, what this is going to look like, what changes, how much it's going to cost. Originally, it was supposed to cost around $1,500 to $1,600. It ended up costing upwards of around $3,200 when it was finally released to the public. And I'm also curious if this thing is going to make a comeback not only in the civilian market, but maybe in the law enforcement and military end. Even though the NGSW program is over, the MCX Spear was the winner. This weapon still has a lot going for it. So I'm curious if Franklin Armory can make the necessary changes that kind of set this weapon back in the past. If they can make those changes, make it readily available options for the caliber conversions, all of that, barrel swaps, everything like that, we could see this thing coming back. Maybe even it'll be available in the new 6.8 by 51 millimeters. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with this. I'm really excited, and honestly, if they're offering this thing up this year, I'm probably going to end up buying myself one. So let me know your thoughts down below of the Magpul Masada Remington Bushmaster ACR, the adaptive combat rifle, one of the very first modern modular assault rifles we have seen. Hopefully making a comeback here from Franklin Armory here in 2023. And if that is the case, and this does end up coming the real ACR 2 Modern Warfare 2, or what is supposed to be maybe Modern Warfare 2.5 or Modern Warfare 3 later this year, I'll be covering it again. We'll be redoing this video much more in-depth, and I tried to keep it as high level as I could here because we could go on with this thing forever. So let me know your thoughts down below. Giveaway winners, I will be reaching out to you. Reach out to me as well. We have Medic75156 on Xbox, won the giveaway, and then for the ACR picks who identified this weapon in the KL12 video, we have Riker Bot 3394 as well as Noodly Boy 6711. So I'll be posting all those winners down below in the description, reaching out to you guys. I'm already in contact with some of you, so we'll get all that squared away. Till next time, this is Buffner Gaming with the Bushmaster / Remington ACR, hopefully soon to be the Franklin Armory ACR with that Bushmaster license. Till next time, this is Buffner Gaming, out.